Alright, I'll admit it, my smart home hasn't always been so smart, and I've learned a ton over the last 7 or 8 years that I've been building my HomeKit home, and I wanted to share some of that with you. And I've invited a couple of friends to share what they've learned too. Let's get into it. Greetings Internet, my name is Dustin and this is my HomeKit Home. Here we look at the smart home with an Apple Home and accessibility focus. Getting the smart home ball rolling can be a little overwhelming. You see all these people controlling their homes with their voices and automations, and you want that for your pad too, but where do you start? Hopefully this video will help you out. Now, I've invited some awesome smart home YouTubers to share their advice as well, and definitely check them out, and you'll find links to their channels in the description box just below that like button. Okay, this might be a little obvious, but my first recommendation would be to choose which smart home platform or platforms you want to use. The big three are Amazon, Google, and Apple when it comes to smart home voice assistant integration. Obviously here at myHomeKit Home, we've landed on Apple Home due to its security and privacy and its ease of use throughout the Apple ecosystem. Which one you decide on is ultimately going to boil down to whether you're more oriented to a voice-centered home, an automated home, or a streamlined smart home experience. Regardless of which smart home platform you choose, there is one area that you cannot overlook.
Hey Dustin, what's going on? Thanks so much for having me. All right, so if I could give some advice to somebody who's just starting building a HomeKit smart home, or any smart home really for that matter, is to start with a really good foundation with your Wi-Fi network. So that's something I didn't really do. I was still using my internet service providers router modem combo when I first started. I started adding devices and wanted to change my router later to something a little bit better, and it really becomes a pain in the neck the more devices you add to your network, especially if you end up changing, the network name and password. So go ahead and do that early on before you start getting a lot of smart home devices, and just having a strong Wi-Fi network throughout your house is a really good foundation to start with, and something I definitely recommend. Go through the house, test your internet speeds, get a router, maybe a mesh router system from a reputable brand as a really good foundation. Once you do that, you can kind of hit the ground running and start adding all kinds of smart home accessories to really start having some fun with your HomeKit setup.
I couldn't agree more. A solid connection to the outside world is essential for a frustration-free Apple Home experience. And while speeds are definitely something you want to invest in, I think personally it's more important to make sure that you have good coverage and a reliable network. Many of your smart home devices will connect over Wi-Fi, like your security cameras and video doorbells, but obviously you don't want to rely just on Wi-Fi alone.
Hi Dustin, it's Stephen for Hey Techie here, and what we wish we knew before we started our HomeKit journey was to avoid Bluetooth only HomeKit devices wherever possible. And our advice would be to invest in Thread or Matter supported devices as early as you can. As you may have already experienced, Bluetooth can be extremely slow to respond, and we had an awful experience with the Osram LED light strip, which works with HomeKit, but its reaction time was so bad, we actually gave up on it entirely and sent it back. In our opinion, you're far better off investing in Thread devices early on, because you're going to be setting yourself up for a more seamless, efficient, and reliable smart home in the long run. Plus, if you own a second generation HomePod or HomePod Mini, you've already got a Thread router already in your home, so there's no good reason to not take advantage of it.
Hey Dustin, thanks for having me on the video. My name is Adam, and I've been growing an Apple smart home for the last 5 years now. And if there's something that I wish I knew before I started this whole smart home journey, is that creating a smart home can actually be affordable. Smart home brand Aqara offers the most affordable smart home products on the market today. They are very reliable, and I've used them for many years. Some of my favorites are their wireless mini switch that allows me to control my lights, smart plugs, and run my scenes very easily just by pressing a button. Their contact sensor is very fast at alerting me when doors are opened or closed. I even use one outside in all kinds of weather conditions, and it's been rock solid. Some Aqara devices are under 20 bucks and often go on sale for even cheaper, so you're able to easily add more devices throughout your house. Aqara devices connect over Zigbee to a required Aqara hub, which is one of their more expensive devices they sell, but each of them gives you additional features for your smart home, like a camera, a hardwired connection, or a security system. If I knew that building a smart home was actually affordable, I would have started many years ago because having a smart home is great. Thanks again, Dustin, for having me on the collab video.
I'm a huge fan of Thread and other hub-based protocols for the smart home. They tend to be pretty reliable, fast, and won't bog down your Wi-Fi network. And like Adam mentioned, they don't have to break the bank either. But not all affordable HomeKit accessories are created equal.
Hey, it's Craig from Craig's Tech Talk. Thank you, Dustin, for having me in this video. My #1 smart home tip and HomeKit tip is don't cheap out when it comes to your devices. Spend a little extra if you need to get well-reviewed quality products. I see it all the time where people try to save and go with that cheaper device and it ends up just driving them crazy. We don't take this approach with other things in our home, such as appliances and TVs. You'll end up spending a little extra for that better, more reliable product. One area I think you spend a little extra is on smart bulbs and smart switches. For example, I went with Lutron cassette switches, even though they're almost twice as much as the average Wi-Fi smart switch. But they are super reliable and well reviewed. Part of that is the fact that they connect to a Zigbee hub. Well, that Zigbee hub costs a little more money, but the reliability ends up being worth it. I justify the extra cost because it's my house and I know I'm going to interact with these devices daily, sometimes multiple times a day, so I don't want a headache. Another area where this applies is with a smart vacuum. If you have a big dog that sheds a lot, having a vacuum that you have to empty every time is going to add friction, so you're not going to use it as much. But if you pay a little extra for that bin, you can set it on a schedule so daily it vacuums, and then once a month you empty that bin instead. Just like most things in life with smart devices, you end up getting what you pay for, and sometimes going cheap ultimately costs you more money when you just replace that cheap device for the better one you should have bought in the beginning. Thank you again, Dustin, for having me in this video.
Not for nothing here, but I've had a number of Eve's first generation Bluetooth accessories for more than 5 years now, and they're still going strong. They do tend to be a bit on the pricier side, but like Craig said, you usually get what you pay for. Choosing which devices you want to outfit your smart home with is definitely fun, but there are some other considerations that you might want to weigh.
My name's Eric Welander. It's great to be here on the myHomeKithome channel. And one thing that I wish I knew when I started my smart home was to focus on the lighting in one particular room, because once you make all the lamps and light bulbs and switches or whatever in one room smart, then you can just change the entire mood of the room like that. Whether it's from a sensor tripping or asking your HomePod to change something or pressing a button, that can all change the environment for watching TV or turning the lights really bright while you get to work or setting the mood for entertaining friends.
Hey guys, I'm Eric. Dustin, thank you for having me on your channel. When it comes to starting a smart home, I started mine over a decade ago, and some words of advice that I would give to anyone that's starting out is that you gotta build your smart home not just for people who are into smart homes like yourself, but also the rest of your friends and your family who might not understand or don't want to know about how to use a smart home. So that means you gotta have physical controls, you gotta be able to turn on the lights manually, you just have to have things the old-fashioned way until everyone understands what a smart home is and how it works. I'm just gonna tell you this now because I went through a lot of arguments and hassles. I remember when my mom was house sitting when I was on vacation once, and she got upset with me because the whole house was talking to her and she couldn't turn on the TV. She just couldn't be in this house because she didn't understand how to work it, and she was just messing things up. And I came home and the whole thing was just a mess. So word of advice, definitely build it how you want to, go slow, but at the same time, remember the people that just need those physical controls too. Again, thank you to Dustin for having me on.
I had the exact same issues with my mother-in-law, and physical controls were the key to smart home sanity. I'd also add here that you might want to avoid overly complicated multi-button switches. I've got a couple of these around the house and I either forget the different actions of the buttons or I never wind up actually programming them to do anything at all. So there you go, some super awesome smart home tips from some super awesome YouTubers. Let us all know what tips you have for starting a HomeKit home down in the comments. Also, let us know that you enjoyed today's video by giving us a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to all of the great content creators in today's video. You'll find links to their channels in the description box, and tell them Dustin sent you. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.